I've been a conservative voter my whole life, but I've reached a point where I can no longer pretend the party I voted for is delivering on the things that matter most. And right at the top of that list is immigration. Not immigration from people who play by the rules, but the system that has allowed illegal immigration to spiral out of control while ordinary British families foot the bill. Let me walk you through the numbers. Because once you see them, you won't unsee them. The scale of the problem. In recent years, the UK has seen around 40 to 50,000 people arriving on our shores by small boat annually. That's not a trickle. That's a mid-sized town arriving every single year. To put it another way, it's basically Stevenage. Every year, a new Stevenage arriving on our beaches. And unlike Stevenage, these are people who have entered the country without any checks, without any paperwork, and without any idea whether they have a legitimate claim to be here. Now the political establishment will tell you the country isn't being replaced. And technically, they're correct. It's being expanded. Like a loft conversion no one asked for, paid for by credit cards no one is reading the statements on. The cost of the system. Once people arrive here illegally, they enter what is politely called the process. This is the British speciality. We've lost track of you, but in a politically acceptable way. So they go into accommodation, processing, legal appeals, local authority support, and healthcare access. In other words, they enter a system designed to keep them exactly where they are. The asylum accommodation system alone has been estimated at around £4 million a day at peak pressure points. That's £28 million a week, £1.4 billion a year. And over a decade, more than £15 billion. £15 billion. For that money, you could have built actual processing centers, you could have built a wall, you could have built a navy. You could have built a human catapult for goodness sake. Instead, we've built absolutely nothing. We're not solving the problem, we're subscribing to it. The hotel scandal, then there are the hotels. At various points, tens of thousands of asylum seekers have been housed in hotels. And this is where it gets politically explosive because hotels are visible and catastrophically expensive. So you get this situation. We're spending billions of pounds on people we haven't decided what to do with, staying in rooms nicer than most working people can afford to live in, while British pensioners are choosing between heating and eating. And some Albanian bloke is getting room service in a travelodge. This is what the system looks like. This is what compassion looks like when it has no accountability. The UK has accidentally built a system where if you arrive illegally, you are immediately given something millions of working people can't afford. It's a reverse meritocracy. The backlog. There are over 100,000 asylum claims sitting in the system at once. People waiting months, sometimes years, for an initial decision. 100,000 claims. For perspective, that's more unresolved cases than the Metropolitan Police handles in a year. Unless, of course, you tweeted something spicy, in which case you're doing time in Alcatraz. And here's the uncomfortable economic truth. Delay is a business model. The system doesn't have a backlog. The backlog has a system. Because every month you don't decide a case, you're still paying for accommodation, support, admin, and legal processing. So the system doesn't cost money because people arrive. It costs money because the state has built a machine whose primary output is waiting. A £15 billion waiting room where the only thing moving quickly is the invoice. Britain can't manufacture cars, ships, or steel anymore. But by God, we can manufacture a bill, paying France. And let's not forget the UK has been paying France significant sums to reduce channel crossings and strengthen enforcement. Hundreds of millions of pounds have been sent to fund French patrols, surveillance, and deterrence measures. It's like paying your neighbour to stop his cat from pooing in your garden, while the neighbour just uses the money to buy the cat more expensive tuna. And despite all that, the crossings continue, because enforcement doesn't stop the system. It just tweaks it at the edges. It reduces flow at the margins, but it doesn't remove the incentive structure. It just moves the problem slightly to the left. The political failure, so we've spent £600 million trying to stop it, and it still exists. £600 million. For context, that's 3 new hospitals, or 1 HS2 toilet, which is a uniquely British outcome. We're the only country that would spend £500 million on a fence and then leave the gate open because we didn't want to seem racist. Rwanda was too mean. Stopping the boats was too effective. Best we can do is pay the French and virtue signal while the dinghies keep coming, peak British governance. So what's the answer? Look, I'm not anti-immigration, I'm pro-system, I'm pro-border. I'm pro-rule of law. If someone comes here legally, works hard, pays their taxes and integrates into British society, they are as British as anyone born here. That's what made this country great. But a system that costs £15 billion, houses people in hotels while pensioners freeze, creates a 100,000 case backlog, pays France to do nothing, and offers no deterrent whatsoever. That system is not compassionate. It's not kind, it's not even functional. It's a bureaucratic machine that has lost the plot. The only party talking about actually fixing this is Reform UK. They have a published, costed plan called Operation Restoring Justice. Leave the ECHR, repeal the Human Rights Act, pass the Illegal Migration Mass Deportation Bill, build removal centres, 5 deportation flights per day, net saving of £42 billion over 10 years. That's not extremism, that's common sense. That's what a functioning country does. If you're a former Conservative voter like me, sitting on the fence, wondering who to vote for, ask yourself this. Which party is actually serious about fixing the system, and which party is just hoping the problem goes away on its own? Because it won't. And the longer we pretend it will, the more it costs us, in money, in trust, and in the kind of country we leave to our children. Thanks for watching. If this made sense to you, hit like and subscribe. Let's get the conversation moving.